All right, so I often look at equivalent or alternative forms as like a parallel test, right? So one method of testing reliability, right? So they're trying to test the reliability of the test. So maybe I come up with my own depression test, Genese's depression test, right? And then they look at it the same way with the Beck depression inventory at the same time to see what will be the results. Will they give these same results, right? So it's like a parallel, but it's more so looking at the results instead of just the idea of giving someone a test that measures the same thing with different names, right? So once again, when we're looking at equivalent or alternative forms of reliability, you're going to give someone the same test, well, not the same test, two different tests that measures the same construct, right? In this case, depression. So it'll be equivalent or alternative form.
So I have a question. What would an example of internal consistency be?
Internal consistency? Okay. All right, so let me give you internal consistency. All right. All right, so internal consistency. All right, so internal consistency is a type of reliability that checks. So that checks whether all the items, and the items is like, what is it, how is it being measured, right? Whether I'm using dichotomous, true or false, right? Am I using 1 through 5, right, on a Likert scale, right? So are all the items on a test or scale measures the same construct? Right, that means that I shouldn't have questions. If I'm measuring the depression, it should be no questions in there that talk about anxiety, no kind of wording, right? So that's like me going through each of those questions and checking to see if they match up with the DSM-5 symptoms, and they all measure depression, right? Because there's some tests that measures more than just one diagnosis, right? And so that's what internal consistency means. Did I answer your question about that?
Yes.
Okay, awesome. All right. All right, about 5 seconds. So a counselor doing research decided to split a standardized test in half by using the even items as one test and the odd items as a second test, right? So when you think about it, it's a split half method, right? Because she split it in half, right? You could do odd numbers, or you could just do the first 5 and then the next 5, or however you want to break it up, right? So me doing that will allow me to also see, right, internal consistency or internal reliability. Because I'm separating the questions or the way it's being measured, the scales and questions that it asks. I'm separating those and seeing if it comes up with the same thing. Is it reliable? Right, so there's different ways of checking reliability and testing, as you can all tell. All right, next one. All right, 5 seconds. All right, so which method of reliability testing would be useful with an essay test, but not with a test of algebra problems, right? So iterator, into observer, and I know someone gonna have questions about that, and that is fun. Like, so when I saw those 2 words, I said, "What is that?" Right? All right, so iterator, and then you also have, and I'm just gonna separate the words, observer, right? So both of these terms, right, they try to attempt, or yeah, like I said, they attempt to rule out any biases with scores, right? With scores being, like tests being scored. So attempt to rule out any biases when scoring tests. So when scoring subjective tests, because we already know that an essay test is subjective test. The idea is that when someone is scoring or grading a subjective test, their opinion, it can also be subjective. So the opinion of the scorer can also be subjective. Right, and so in order to mediate that, to make sure that that score is reliable, all right, so I put this here. Right, so to ensure reliability of final score, right, that iterator and into observer would be the first person who graded it, and then the second person. It doesn't matter which kind of order it goes in, but either way, you're going to have 2 people grading the same test. And I'll put it here. So pretty much it's 2 individuals grading the same subjective test. Right? Because unlike math, right, we know 1 + 1 is 2, right? But, we can't refute that. We don't need someone to come behind us and do it because it's too finite, right? So that's why it's different with like an algebra test, right? So iterator and inter-observer are two individuals who are grading the same subjective test to rule out biases from either person, right? Mainly probably from the first person, right? Maybe they don't like the kid that took the essay test, right? Maybe they'll fail them, right? Or maybe based on their knowledge of what they wrote down and their opinion, it wasn't good enough, right? So that's iterator and observer, right?
Would that question sorry, go on.
Oh, no, that's fine. Go ahead.
The question we just answered, would that kind of be how it looks on the actual NCE, or would it look a little different in your experience?
So I'm gonna tell you, it's gonna look different, right? So stuff that you're studying, it's gonna be worded differently on the test, right? So the idea is just to understand the terms, right, and other ways it can look, right? So even with this one, iterator and observer is checking for reliability of the scores, right? So yeah, it's definitely gonna look different, but the information you're learning is gonna be the same. Did I answer your question? Oh,
yep.
You're welcome. Awesome. All right. And we'll stop at 3:55, just in case anyone have any questions. All right. Now, don't nobody get scared because I saw some numbers right here. All right.
Too late. I'm shaking already.
I knew it was you. I wasn't you gonna try and put your name out there.
I fell on the floor when the screen opened up.
He's so dramatic. Oh, okay. All right. So anybody need me to explain it? Because it seemed like y'all got it. But we also have to make sure we don't remember the answer, but why. So does anyone need an explanation about reliability coefficient?
Yes, can you give me an explanation? Because
Okay.
this actually was on the NCE when I took it. It said
And I
this
was about
exact
to tell
thing.
you. I was about to tell you, some of them are, but not every word is or every statement is, right? It's in between, right? All right, so we're going to look at reliability coefficient. All right, so reliability coefficient, it answers the question, how reliable is this test or assessment in measuring what it says it does? Oops. All right, so anytime you see coefficient, just automatically know it's going to be like some numbers on a scale. So when we're looking at reliability coefficient, the numbers go from 0.0, right, all the way to 1.00. Now, this is what I do. I take a decimal, move it over, make it 100%, right? That means that this test is 100% reliable, right? But when you get closer to 0, it becomes weaker, right? So you might have like this, 0.80, 0.65, right? As we get closer and closer to 0, right, the reliability of the test weakens, right? So lower the score, reliability weakens. Oops, yeah. And then 0 just means no reliability at all. All right, think about a pregnancy test. It's 99.9% accurate. All right, it's close to 100, so almost perfect. But you know what? They always have to account for the fact that there's going to be some error there. They don't want to be responsible for it, right? So it's going to be that 0.1 chance of error. Chance of it not being reliable. All right. And that 99 is close to, like I said, to that 100, just by that 0.1 difference. Right, so I'd rather take a test that has 99.9% reliability than take a test that has 30.1% reliability. So that's what reliability coefficient means. It's always going to be on this scale from 0 to 1.00. Anytime I just move this thing over and make it 80%, 65%. All right. Any questions about that? Anybody need any further explanation? All right, cool. All right, so let's try to sneak in one more question. All right. All right, so let's take a look at it. So people who pick C, right, that's perfect. We're looking for excellent, right? If I say which one, rule out any chance factors, that'll be a perfect one. Then it would be 1.00, right? Move that decimal would be 100, right? But if I want to have an excellent, not perfect, it will be that 0.90. So it's all about the wording, right? And we know it's not D because it doesn't go into negative, right? It only goes from 0 to 1.00 and the numbers in between that, right? We definitely don't want 50% because I'm not taking that test. All right, let's try to do one more since we're still talking about reliability coefficient. And keep in mind, it's always going to be out of 100. All right, think about that pregnancy test, 99.9% accurate. 99% of it is accurate, right? 99.9, and then that 0.1% is of error. And accurate means error. In research, there's always going to be some error there. You just don't want to have much of it, right? So 70%, right? So 0.70, move that decimal over. That means 70% is reliable. while 30%, because 70 plus 30 is 100, right? It always just goes to that 1.00, right? And then B, 30% of the people who are tested receive accurate scores, so it doesn't flow in that way for this one, right? And then the C, 70% of people who are tested will receive accurate scores. So it's just backwards, right? So just knowing that reliability coefficient looks at the accuracy, right? And then anything that's left over is of error. Okay. All right, so we are wrapping up. So this is the time for like questions, or anything you want to add about how the session went, or anything you want me to improve on.
It was all good. Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. All right. So the recording will be available for this.
I'm going to need your help.
It's okay. We in it together. We didn't even get to assessment yet, so you're okay. I didn't expect you to be flying colors, but you got exposure, so that's good, right?
Yeah.
So it's fine. So the next subject, let me go back to me making it available. I will put it in the app, and let you all know where to access this video, probably by the end of the day. And then the next section that we're going to go over, because I like to bind these two together, is research. Now, don't be all excited at the same time, but yeah, so research will be next. I will let you all know about the date. Usually I'll just like do 2 weeks out. Does this time work for everyone, or do you all think it should be a later time? Because I'm on Eastern Standard Time.
I like the time.
Yeah,
Okay.
time is good for me.
Works good.
Okay.
It's good for me.
All right, cool beans. So I want to thank everybody for participating. I hope that it was very helpful to you all. But if you have any questions, just let me know. I'll be here for you all. All of you have my contact. All right, and then have a good rest of your evening.
Thank you so much.
No problem.
Bye.
No problem. Bye.
Thanks. Bye now.
Yeah, bye.